y'all. Welcome to Unleash with DNA. I'm Amy.
And I'm Dawn, and we're so glad you're here.
Hey, Dawn.
Hey, Amy.
Happy
Happy
Friday.
Friday.
How are you doing?
Good. It's podcast day. Always a good day.
Podcast
Get to
day
hang
it
with
is.
you. Get to hang out with you for a little while.
So today we are recording the Why in our Joy series. So we've already recorded the J and the O, and those episodes are loaded. And our last one, and I can't believe we're already to the end of our first series, even though it's short, is one of my favorite subjects to talk about, and that is you. So the Y stands for you. And I think it's appropriate to start off by saying, you are so you, it's not even funny, right? But
Yes.
it takes a long time in life for you to get comfortable with you, or at least it did for me. And so
I'm still getting used to myself. Are you kidding me?
I know. So I think that maybe we can take the next 30 minutes or so kind of walking through some real life experiences, little nuggets that we've picked up along the way from books we read or quotes that we love, and see if we can help people get to loving the you that makes you so fabulous.
Yeah. They got a quote from Dolly Parton that I really, really like. And she says, find out who you are and do it on purpose. Good old Dolly Parton. Find out who you are and do it on purpose. And so I think what I took away from that quote is find out who you are and embrace it, and then realize what's wonderful about it, and then go out and do it on purpose and give it to the world. Because I think a lot of times we don't really completely know who we are. And so we're not really understanding what our strengths are and what all our gifts are and what they are. And so we're not out there doing it on purpose. We're just kind of like letting life happen to us versus us happening to life.
Well, I love that quote. Find out who you are and then go be that on purpose. I guess the real hard part of that is how to find out who you are. And I just know in my personal experience in life, I probably spent not quite half, a lot of my earlier years, trying to figure out who I was, or maybe trying to be something I wasn't, or, chasing that, like you would see something in somebody else, whether it be at work or home or whatever. You're like, oh, they're really cool, or they're smart, or there's something about them that resonated with you and you felt like you needed to kind of be more like that. Or, you know, um, probably times or seasons where you were thinking that you needed to be something that you're not, and you need that confidence in yourself, or you need to have that knowledge or awareness of who you are in your heart and what you're meant to be, so that you don't go off in some lane, trying to be something you're not, because that's not fun. I mean, there's no fun in being something that you're not.
Well, and that kind of goes back to when we were talking about the J comparison is thief of joy. I mean, it really does really play well into when you're trying to be you, because in so many situations in our life, we're all siblings. So there's the golden child maybe in your family, and we all are supposed to be like that child, especially if you weren't the firstborn. In most of our jobs, we're coming in as a replacement for someone else. Right. And so it's real easy to get that, what they call that imposter syndrome, to where like now you're trying to play a part and you can't live your life like an actor in a movie. You know what I mean? Like you have to be your authentic self. And I think if we can get in the next 20 minutes or so, any kind of inspiration to anyone that's listening to this podcast, to how much easier life becomes when you actually are your authentic self, as much as you can be. I mean, I know we have jobs and we have things we need to do and we have responsibilities, but when you are true to yourself, really true to yourself, then this already challenging life just gets just more fun and engaging, and people come to know you and expect you to show up as you.
Yeah.
And that is just a much better place to be. And you also will find yourselves making decisions career wise, relationship wise, friendship wise, that fit for your authentic self than trying to make you fit into something that maybe is not the best fit for you.
That's true. And I know that when you're too busy trying to be something you're not, that robs you of joy, right? Because then you're working so hard to be something that doesn't come naturally to you, or um it's like that idea that for the longest time you're taught, or that you need to perfect your weaknesses. Like, identify your weaknesses and work on those, and then you'll get better. And really, it's the flip side of identify your strengths, get to know who really you are and what makes you tick, embrace that for all that is, and then go out there and rock it. It's
Why you
so
don't?
why you don't. It's so exhausting. It's a weakness for a reason, because it's not everybody is created the same. Let's just get that out there. I'm not made to be you, and you're not made to be me, and that's what makes life wonderful. If we were all supposed to be the exact same, thick, inside and out, same skill set, same brain power, same creativity, same personality,
Boring.
this world would be a snooze fest. And so I can't remember, there's that fun quote that's like, first of all, I'm not you and you're not me. And once we recognize that, life gets fun, kind of thing. And then you learn to appreciate why you gravitate towards people that aren't like you, or when you collaborate or communicate with someone who's completely opposite than you are, it just makes that dynamic so much more fun. Like us, yes, we both like to talk. Yes, we are both outgoing personalities, but deep at our core,
We're very
who
different.
we are, we're very, very different. We're very, very different in our way of thinking, in all of those things. And I think that that's just made our friendship a lot more fun, and allowed our conversations to grow, and for us to learn so much about each other. But I can tell you, I wish I could go back and tell my old younger self, or give myself permission, starting at the age, I don't even know when, 12, 13, it's okay for you to be you. Quit worrying about what you're not, and
Yeah.
just start focusing on you. And because I waited too late. I did. I mean,
Well,
I
and
think I wasted time.
I'm a little different. I mean, growing up in New Orleans, we have all these ways that we say things, and I honestly think that I have the craziest mind of putting sentences together. But I mean, we make fun of why you don't, and I made a conscious effort to change my enunciation when I moved to Texas, get rid of all the lazy language, the why you don't, where you at, different things. And I got to tell you, it was exhausting. I mean, I don't know how you all say, why don't you?
Well, I was going to say, I don't know that everybody that's listening to this is going to know what "why you don't" is. It's we ought to just tell the story. You have your own Don Mathwig language, and there are certain things that you say the way you want to say them. And for those of us that have been around you for all these years, when you say them, that they make perfect sense, and I know what you mean. But like, to someone that might like be overhearing a conversation, they're like, what did that girl just say, or what does she mean? But "why you don't" is, instead of saying "why don't you," "why
Hmm.
don't we," you say "why you don't," but it means the same thing.
Yes. And I know if I'm typing, I know how it's supposed to say, but it comes out that way every time. And I have to tell you, like, that specific example, and because I do have my own language and I also create my own language, which could happen on this podcast, I'm just going to let everybody know I create words that do not exist, but I think they do. And it has probably held me back from sharing and being in a more public forum like this one, like to where, people that I don't know that don't expect me to say things like that or don't expect me to show up like that because I don't have a relationship with, it held me back. I didn't want to speak on panels, for the industry that we're in. I didn't want to always for fear of what was going to come out of my mouth. And the worst part is I wasn't even going to know that I said it wrong. And it would
Well,
have to take some brave soul to tell me, what did you mean when you said this? And I think what's in my head and what came out my mouth, I thought I said it right.
well, just as your friend, a lifelong friend of yours who's had the benefit of all of your made up words, I will tell you that that is what makes you so special and so much fun to be around. Because at any given time, we can expand our vocabulary. We can always, and now it's like no big deal with all the different slangs and the different like shortcuts and LOLs and TBD and all the, anybody can make up any language now and it becomes
Oh,
universal.
it,
So why you don't,
I just
Don?
look
Why
at,
you don't?
I just look at it as finally the world has caught up to me.
Yeah.
I
Ha- you-
mean,
we
it's
can
like,
have
okay,
actually,
but
Don, we can have full conversations in emojis. You don't even have to use words. Now we live in
yeah,
a world where I can respond to someone with like two thumbs up and and a like whatever and prayer hand. Like it's so ridiculous
it
how
is. But I
we talk.
also, I have my children, I have sent emojis and I think sometimes I might use them. I needed to look at the glossary because you do need to know what the emoji means before you start speaking in emojis. Because there's definitely some emojis that are not appropriate for all conversations on text.
Yes. Yes. Well,
But
if I had to ask you one question, who is the most important person do you think that needs to like and love you?
oh, 100% me.
Exactly.
Don Mathwig needs to love Don Mathwig. Now, that's easier said than done, but I do know that.
So the most important person that needs to like or love you or yourself is yourself, right? And the reality is everybody works so hard sharing love, giving affirmations, giving grace, giving emotion, giving attention to others, right? Because that's how
Mhm.
we're humans, right? And we're supposed to be in, community. We're supposed to be, friends and family and all the things. And so we spend so much time pouring out. Hopefully, this is the experience for most, pouring out all of these like wonderful things and affirmations to others. And we very rarely take that megaphone and turn it back towards us and say it to ourselves. I don't, I don't know how to talk good to myself. I immediately, it doesn't matter what it is. I could wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, and there's nothing positive coming to that little mind, and it's like, wow, you're looking rough. Or I don't know. It's a horrible thing that I try hard to be cognizant of, and I'm getting better at recognizing when I do it. But I just wish I could be nicer to myself, right? Because that's what matters. Because if I can't get there
Yeah.
myself, nothing you can tell me, Don, is going to raise my confidence or make me feel better about myself if in my head I'm canceling out everything that's headed my way.
Well, and I think that's true for a lot of people. And I think that is one reason why you and I are very much affirmation and quotes. Like listeners, you're going to have to get used to quotes and affirmations because no matter what we're talking about in these episodes, I can tell you we struggle with all of this the same. Like I am exactly like you. And I think, the best way that when you get like that for me, I'm just going to give a special shout out. Brene Brown has gotten me through some rough times where I just thought, I made a mistake, and you were just never going to come back for it, right? Like you did this one thing and now it's this scarlet letter on you forever, and you are. And she has a quote that says, owning our story and loving ourselves through the process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. So I think, yeah, I mean, like, it's like I'm the same way. I look in the mirror and I look at a picture and everybody's like, "Oh, look, you look great in the picture." I'm like, the first thing I do, I can't even take a compliment. Like the first thing I do is say, "No, my hair was a mess. Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Oh, that color doesn't look good with my hair." Like I can't even take a compliment because the self-talk to me is, how do they not see all of these horrible things that I see? And they just saying this picture looks beautiful. And I'm thinking, let me just tell you the 10 things wrong with it.
But the reality is how much time did you spend fixing your hair and fixing your makeup and putting on the perfect earrings and matching necklace or outfit? You went through a lot of time to do that. You get out there in that moment or that event, then people compliment you. You look gorgeous. Your hair looks great, and your makeup, and oh my God, that outfit's fabulous. And then you're, oh, this whole thing, oh, it made me look fat or whatever. And we spend all this time focused on perfecting the outside, whether it's going to Pilates, exercising, eating right, doing your skin creams, making sure you wash your hair, all the things. And then all the stuff on the inside that never gets any attention or never gets cleaned out, that happens to be the negative stuff, comes out and erases all of that. It's
Oh yeah.
a real
Well, and
deal.
if you do that for a long period of time, which most of us have or have done or whatever, I mean, when you do that for any period of time, it just gets heavy.
Yeah.
And it just gets heavy. And I think that is probably what I would want people to get out of our time today with everyone is, like, when you're feeling that way, it's completely normal. We're not going to love everything about ourselves. It's just not going to happen. But knowing yourself, but you have to find a way to embrace it. You have to find a way to stop the negative talk. You got to find a way. And I think it's different for everyone. I know that that book that you shared with me, this one that I love so much.
Soulful. Yeah. That little interior backpack analogy I just used I think it's chapter 12, lighten your load. And it's just so, all the stuff that over life builds up inside of us, and we just keep cramming it down, our fears, our dislikes, the things that we the things that we think we're not, that we really are, but we're just not ready to let it out, gets all packed up in here, and then we're carrying it around. But on the outside, we're trying to make it perfect for everybody. And that chapter really spoke to me, about that. And I did that for a really long time, and I just wish it didn't take me to get to like 52 to like finally go, you know what? I'm ready to just be me. And this is me. And I know that there are times and settings and different situations where I can't let it all, you gotta kind of tone it down and be in the moment of.
There's appropriate levels of how much you're you in different situations in your life.
Exactly. And
But
that's
you're still
fine.
you.
You're still you. You're just a different version. You're not something you're not. You're just like a little bit more reserved version because you're in this particular environment. But I think that the sooner people can, I wish I could tell all young people out there, is just to get to know yourself. Like figure out who you are, figure out what makes you tick, figure out
Yep.
why your mind operates the way it is, why you gravitate towards certain things, and embrace that. And then more importantly too, be open to all the things that makes that next person next to you that's nothing like you. Embrace why they are special in their own way. And that's so hard to do sometimes, right?
Yeah,
Because we don't
it is.
we're all looking for perfection, or all expecting perfection, and 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 not just realizing it's okay to just be who we are.
It made me think, and I agree. I mean, that's a really great way to say it. And when we talk about like different versions of yourself, I don't mean like different versions like you're not you. It's like the mild salsa in the medium salsa and the spicy salsa. I mean, like there's like salsa is just salsa, but you can get it mild, medium, or spicy. And so there may be some times where spicy Amy is really appropriate and wonderful and it's a great thing. But if you're in a certain setting, maybe you need to be mild,
Yeah.
so I think it's important for people to understand that, there's versions of us, but we're still got to be true to ourselves. And I, I was much, I had, I was lucky enough. I had my children early. And so I went through the version of me that I thought I was supposed to be because I was the mom, and, I, I'm a older person. So here I was young and I'm thinking I need to be like my grandmother and my mom. Yeah, I had this version of myself. Like I was never to do things in front of my children or say things in front of my children, or they had to go to school every day and they couldn't have, they had to do their homework right when they got home from school. And I had so many rules, but they weren't really my rules. They were rules that I had because that's what I thought the rules were. And so I was just enforcing what I thought were the rules. Well, you get older and you realize, oh my gosh, I could have made up my own rules. I mean, yeah, they got to go to school. I mean, that's a rule, but I mean, I could have made up my own rules, and I wish I would have gifted myself that earlier. I am definitely more in that moment and phase in my life now, but like you said, we're in our 50s. So any of you are listening to this podcast and you're not as old as Amy and I would highly think about because when you talk about being you, it's not just a personality, it's the decisions you make. It's how you choose to parent. It's how you choose to show up in your job. It's how you are as a friend. It's how you are, in your neighbors. I mean, you have to be you. If you told me to stop smiling and waving at everybody down the road and saying hi, and I would not be me. I would be miserable. I would be overthinking, trying to get from A to B and not being me. Being me just lets me free to
Well, and I think
explore the world.
honestly, Don, I think that's why it took us 6 months to kind of launch this. I know we launched a balloon earlier in December or late last year that we were going to do this podcast. And other than our initial idea was we're going to write a book, and then this podcast thing, you know, that's the way of the future, right? And so we were like, okay, well, we're going to do a podcast. And then we start to sit down and we're like looking at ourselves at a screen and like, what do we look like on screen? And we're like, no, I can't do this. I don't think I can do this. I don't like the way I look on this, so I'm not going to be able to do a podcast, right? So we had to get through that. Then we felt like we had to like script everything perfect. So we're going to write out this script and then we're going to follow it to a T. That did not go well. We looked dumb. Like we were recording and looking like and sounding like robots, but we had to get past and release ourselves that it's okay. And ultimately, after hours and hours and hours and hours of real authentic conversations about how to go about this podcast, we were just like, we should really just log in and be authentic and have conversations like we do every single day and let it fly. And because why would we have a podcast to inspire people to be the best versions of themselves, to unleash their DNA, their true DNA that makes them tick and makes them who they
Amen.
are, but be something we're not, like, and try to be this scripted robot Amy and Dawn version that is not even realistic or real life. Like, these glasses are driving me crazy because they keep sliding down my nose. I really don't care because I love them so much and I can see. And so I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm still recording this episode and I'm not
They
even
look
going to stop.
fabulous.
I'm not even going
Yeah,
to stop.
I agree. I agree. And you know me, I could find every reason. I'm like, I'm very detail oriented. And so I I think that for me, I thought, we were kind of going through that, but in my mind, just to let y'all know, just to get this podcast going, my self talk was, what do you possibly have to say that anyone wants to listen to you, you know, and be inspired by you. And I think it is, but on the other half, my other voice, the voice that won, and the reason that we're on here is I freaking care about humans. I freaking care about people. And I think the best gifts that you can give in life, especially as you're kind of going through life, is to pay it forward to others. And so, you know, it's like the starfish poem where the guy's throwing one starfish and like, you're not going to make a difference because look at all the starfish on the beach. You can't save them. And it's like, but if they save one, you save one starfish. It's like this little poem. It's so cute. But it's kind of like here, if anyone listening to this podcast changes anything in their life that allows them to feel comfortable in themselves and confident and love themselves just this much more after hearing us today, just a little bit more, then worth everything. And by the way, those glasses look fabulous on you.
Thank you, Dawn. I didn't walk that compliment back. I
You
said
did
thank
not.
you. I did not, because that's another bad habit I do. So let's talk about this. We started off, this series is about joy. In the last two episodes, like one is, you know, comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is also the thief of you being you. I'm going to make that quote up right here. I made that up myself, or if that's a quote out there, I've never heard it. Comparison will steal you of, you know, of you being the real you. And then, you know, there's got to be some things that we've done in our life that have helped us discover who we really are. And one, I think it just comes with age. Confidence comes with age. Two, we've had the benefit of lots of different learning
Yep.
modules and different platforms that we were introduced at work, like the Gallup Strengths Finder. For anybody out there that has never taken that, I encourage you to do that. It's wonderful. Where you can, it'll I think, is it 34 strengths or 32?
34.
Anyway, 34, and you take this quiz. It doesn't take long, and it'll take the strengths that they have, and they'll tailor them to who you are based on how you answered the questions. And it is wild how spot on it is.
Yeah,
And
but as we were doing that, you had people going, "I wish I had this strength.
oh yeah,
I like this one better. I didn't." I mean, we all did it, and then everybody's comparing everybody's strengths, and I'm thinking, they're all strengths, people.
true. Yeah, and everything, it's in, and just because one of those strengths was not at the top of your list in your top 5 doesn't mean that you don't have it, right? It does. Like for me, I think one of them was empathy. For me, as a strength, was on the lower end, and I'm like, dang, it doesn't mean I don't care about people. It's just not something that is comes to the bubbles to the top, right? Like my activation and other things are there. And then eventually I get to that. But it's remarkable how you can, if you're struggling to find out like what makes you tick, or you're young and you're looking for some nuggets that can help you articulate how your mind thinks, the things that you like to do, the way you like to work, the way you want to be communicated with, because it helps with life and you know, work. I had my son take it right after he graduated from college, and he was about to go out on the interview process, and you know, he didn't really have a whole lot of experience. 2 years of his college, it was during COVID, and I'm like, take this strength finder and read it and learn it, and that you can have some talking points about what makes you tick, and like what makes you you, and the things that are how you're naturally wired. And I just think whether you use something like that, or there's all kinds of things out there, whatever it takes to help you empty that internal backpack of crap, to help you
Yep.
get to the best version of you, the sooner you can do that, the more joy you're going to have in your life.
Agreed. And I know that we're getting close to our mark in a little bit, but I would really encourage, as you're finding, you know, Amy gave you some really good tools of how you can like kind of get to know yourself better, which is meeting yourself and getting to know yourself is probably going to be the first part of having any other really great relationships out there with other humans. Is you got to have one with yourself. But I would also say, I don't know how many people are walking around with and thinking they need not really owning who they are, like feeling like they need to pretend. You can't pretend forever. It's going to be exhausting. So make sure that you're picking the people that you can be your authentic self with. Those are your true friends. Those are your true tribe of people that you can spend time with. And, Amy, we have people and it's okay if it's smaller than your group that you have right now. Like, it's okay to have just good, meaningful people that you want to do life with, that you can be your true authentic self and they can be their authentic same with you. I think it's really important for people to do. And I wish I would have did that earlier. I tried to just be there for everyone and be a part of everything. And that just gets exhausting. And I wasn't getting enough me time. So if you're doing that, you might want to make sure that you squeeze in and pencil yourself in some time to be with you.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I want to say is that I have, at the encouragement and at the advice of you many, many times, have released part of my authentic heart, more willingness to put my real self out there, more willingness to let my soul shine because of a lot of our conversations and a lot of your honest, authentic feedback, and also just genuine love for me being the best version of myself. And I cannot thank you enough for it. I really can't.
I just am so grateful that you are sharing who you are at your core with more people in the world, because it's part of your purpose. And I think that you're sharing that on a bigger and broader, and even through this podcast and beyond. And I just love you with every ounce of my being, but I love your true authentic self. And I know there's been times when I saw that you might not be yourself, and it was years and years ago, and I'm like, who is that girl? And you just, when you're in your authentic self, honestly, that's when you're having the most fun. I mean, you can see your joy, you can feel it, you can see it, and you're like, and when you're in that place that you can just be yourself, you just ooze joy.
Well, hopefully our discussion today on you are so you, just be you, will encourage people to relax a little bit and to get to know themselves a little deeper and learn to love and like everything good, bad, and ugly that makes them so special. Because the fact of the matter is we need everybody on this earth to be themselves, to be different, and to keep life fun. And so we'll keep
Agreed.
working on that.
Yes. And so this series was intentional. Remember, J is for joy. O is for being open to possibilities, opportunities, but none of that happens without you just being you. So I think it's really important. I'm going to end on a quote that says, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. So
I love that one. I love
just
that
be
one.
yourself.
Just be yourself.
Everybody else is already taken. So be yourself. We have enjoyed, this has been this wraps up our first podcast series of joy. And I am sure we have lots more to learn. I'm sure there's lots more that we can do, and we love it. We always say feedback's a gift. So we love feedback, but more importantly, I just want everyone who took the time to listen to any of our episodes to tell them how much I appreciate. I know that it is a busy, busy time out there and people don't have a lot of time. So thank you for supporting us. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for inspiring us. We love having conversations, and we're excited to start working on our next series, and we'll be back.
Talk soon. Bye, Dawn.
Bye, Amy.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for tuning in.
We know your time is so valuable. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel for easy access to all of our episodes.
Talk soon.